All right, let's talk about AI video. It's incredible, right? A total game changer. But let's be honest, as anyone who's actually used it knows, the raw footage you get out of the generator is almost never ready to show anyone. It's usually just kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. It's that off feeling. You know what I'm talking about. Objects just kind of melt into each other, textures shimmer and flicker, and the whole thing is wrapped in this creepy, dead silence. If you've ever stared at one of your renders thinking, wow, this is amazing, but also a total mess, trust me, you are not alone.
So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we take that weirdness and turn it into something wonderful? Well, that is exactly what we're going to break down right now. I'm going to walk you through a professional 5-phase workflow that takes that glitchy, rough footage and turns it into something polished, cohesive, and genuinely powerful. Okay, so first things first, let's really nail down what we're up against. We're essentially trying to pull our footage out of the uncanny valley. It's a journey from a pile of raw, weird glitches to something that looks professionally finished. And this really sets the stage perfectly. Over on the left, you've got your typical raw AI output, the flickering textures, warping objects, the creepy silence, and just a disconnected vibe. And on the right, that's our goal. Seamless motion, a look that makes sense, a rich world of sound, and an actual story. So how do we build that bridge from one to the other? Let's get into it.
All right, let's dive into phase one, assess and organize. And look, I know this might sound like the boring part, but I promise you it is probably the most important step in this whole process. Before you even think about dragging a clip onto your timeline, you have to know what you're working with.
It's a simple 3-step process. First, you've got to review and log everything. Seriously, watch it all and mark what's good, what's bad, and what's just plain bizarre. Second, and this is key, you have to call the unusable. Be absolutely ruthless here. If a character suddenly grows a third arm, just delete the clip. Don't even try to fix it. It is not worth your time. And finally, take all your best shots and just throw them onto a timeline, like a rough storyboard. This will instantly show you what's working and, just as importantly, where the holes in your story are. Okay, so once everything is organized, we can move on to phase 2, repairing the glitches. Now we get to roll up our sleeves and get a little technical. This is where we start to tame that uncanny valley and fix all those classic problems AI video loves to throw at us. And the first big monster we have to slay is that signature AI instability. You know, that weird liquidy warping and jittery motion? It's the #1 thing that screams, "This is fake," and totally pulls your audience out of the experience. So, how do we fix it? Well, your best friend here is your software's stabilization tool. Whether you're in DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro, you've got some seriously powerful options built right in. The trick is to play around with the different modes. Don't just use the default. Try things like perspective or subspace transform, because those are designed specifically to handle the crazy, complex warping that AI spits out. All right, next on the hit list is another AI classic, those random, horrifying frames that just pop in for a split second, or that weird breathing flicker you see on a brick wall or someone's shirt.
You've got a couple of ways to tackle this. The high-tech way is to use something called optical flow. Both Resolve and Premiere have it, and it basically looks at the frames before and after the glitch to magically create a new, clean frame in between. It's pretty amazing. But you can also think outside the box. In Resolve, you can sometimes use temporal noise reduction to smooth out that flicker. And in Premiere, hey, sometimes the easiest solution is the best one. Just cover up the glitch with a lens flare or some other graphic. No one will ever know.
Okay, we've done the repair work. Now we get to the fun part. We move from being technicians to being artists. Phase 3 is what I like to call the secret sauce. This is where we take all these separate random clips and trick the audience into believing they all belong in the same world. And I am not kidding when I say this. This next thing we're going to talk about, it is the single most important step to make your AI video look and feel professional. Pay close attention to this one. And that step is color grading. You see, AI will spit out clips that are almost the same, but maybe the lighting is a little different, or the colors are slightly off. Grading is how you fix that. It's the art of giving every single shot the same visual fingerprint, the same vibe. It's the magic trick that convinces your brain that all these clips were shot on the same day, in the same location, with the same camera. Now, beyond just the color, there are a few other pro tricks to really sell the illusion. First, add a layer of film grain over everything.
AI video is too perfect, too clean. Grain adds a bit of organic texture and does an amazing job of hiding tiny imperfections. A little vignette can also work wonders, darkening the edges of the frame to draw the viewer's eye to the center and hide any weirdness happening on the periphery. Another great one is to add a super subtle global camera shake. It makes those sterile, locked-off AI shots feel like they were filmed by a real person. And hey, if a shot just feels way too fast and chaotic, just slow it down. Bringing it to 75 or 80% speed can make a huge difference.
So, our visuals are looking pretty solid, but we've ignored one huge problem: the dead silence. That brings us to phase 4, sound design. And this is where we really go from just fixing a video to actually building a world.
Think of sound design like building a house. You have to start with the foundation. That's your room tone or ambience, the constant underlying sound of a place, whether it's wind, city noise, or the hum of fluorescent lights. Then you add the details, the Foley. These are the little sounds that make a scene feel real. Footsteps, keys jingling, the rustle of a jacket. They are absolutely critical. Then you bring in the music to guide the viewer's emotions. And finally, you polish it all by mixing those layers together so nothing is too loud or too quiet, and it all just works.
We are on the home stretch now. Phase 5 is all about the final polish. This is where we use some clever editing tricks and run our final checks to hide any last-minute problems and make sure we can deliver this thing with total confidence. So here are a few final pro-level tips for you. Got a shot that's a little shaky or weird? Just don't linger on it. Cut away faster. Use J-cuts and L-cuts to smooth things out. Remember that B-roll is your best friend. If there's an awkward moment, just cover it up with another shot or a graphic. And please, please do a final quality check on the actual exported video file, not just in your editing software. Sometimes the export process can create its own weird glitches. Oh, and a huge pro tip for next time: when you're generating your clips, make them about 20% longer than you think you'll need. Having that extra footage at the beginning and end is an absolute lifesaver in the edit. Okay, so that was a lot. Let's do a super quick recap of the whole workflow, from start to finish. It really just boils down to these 5 simple stages. 1, log and call, get organized first. 2, stabilize and fix, tackle all the technical problems. 3, grade for cohesion, make it all look like it belongs together. 4, design sound, build your world with audio. And 5, polish and output, the final touches. And this really gets to the heart of what we're doing here. When you're working with AI video, you're not just an editor. You're not just cutting and pasting clips. You are, in a sense, redeeming the footage. You're taking something that is fundamentally flawed and artificial, and you're breathing life and reality into it. Because at the end of the day, every AI clip is its own little puzzle, and your best tool isn't going to be some fancy plugin. It's going to be your own creative problem solving. So the real question is, are you ready to go out there and redeem your footage?